So today I want to teach you a very little known but super powerful tip about how to lose weight without dieting. So if you're frustrated with your weight, you're tired of the constant struggle with food, maybe you feel like I did for many years that your relationship with food is more like a battle or a war, then this video is going to be so refreshing for you, so empowering, and I know you're going to love it. So I'm going to show you how I stumbled across this simple solution to my weight problems. After 20 years of dieting and never having long-term success, I stumbled across this idea of changing the way I actually ate my meals and my mindset about food. So I didn't change the food I was eating, I didn't change my diet, but I changed the way I approached food and meal times. So I'm super excited to tell you about the idea of pleasure. Now, what do you think when I say the word pleasure? How do you feel about that word? For many years I was afraid of pleasure. And even just 2 short years ago, I was 50 pounds heavier than I am today. I was super frustrated with my body. I was frustrated with my inability to lose weight. I said I loved food, but what I realize now is I never actually took pleasure out of food. So one of my big game changers was to actually allow myself to enjoy what I was eating, and it led me to have so many benefits, such as being full and satisfied without as much food. My metabolism was boosted because I was in a good mood. I started to have less binges because I was actually letting myself have things I wanted throughout the day. So, I fluctuated between 125 and 200 pounds many times in my life, and now I've found a healthy weight. I'm able to stay here, and a big part of that is about how I eat my food. And it's not, I didn't change my diet like I said, but I just eat in a more peaceful, pleasurable way. So, I'm excited to share that with you. And if you're overweight, if you're frustrated with your relationship with food, you're not alone, and I know this is gonna help you. So if you'd like to have more peace around meal times, it's all about changing how you approach food and how you approach your actual meal times. And so it's important to first understand that taking joy and pleasure out of your food is a non-negotiable when it comes to weight loss, when it comes to enjoying your life, when it comes to thriving in general. Taking joy and pleasure out of your food is necessary. So I'm hoping you're like, wee, jumping for joy, because, it's so amazing how people think that we have to deprive and be afraid of food in order to live at a healthy weight, but it's the complete opposite. We've been tricked by the diet industry. So I hope you're jumping for joy and you get to have whatever you want. I'm gonna just explain at the end, but I've got my dark chocolate, my chocolate here, and I just wanna show you what that means to really let yourself have the food and enjoy it without any guilt. And so, I'm Charmaine Ironside. If you've never watched a video from me, I love life, I love my body, and my life was very different a couple of years ago. I'm a mom, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a wellness coach, and I help women live their best lives in their best bodies. And I'm super excited to help you in any way that I can. So, many of my clients actually avoid pleasure when it comes to food. One of my clients actually recently told me these exact words: eating is always something that has to get done to fuel my life, but I have disassociated it with pleasure. And if you can relate to that, then that's awesome. That's really common. I had another client, Alma, say to me that if she has not done any hard work or accomplished a large goal, she doesn't feel she deserves a treat for herself, and she doesn't feel like she deserves pleasure. So the idea that yummy food has to be earned is so pervasive. But why is that? Why don't we feel like we deserve to just be happy and have bliss in our life? You can see my sign, follow your bliss. I'm all about that. I'm all about enjoying this journey of life, enjoying food to the fullest. And once I started enjoying and taking pleasure out of my food, I actually ended up dropping weight really quickly. So I want you to realize that it's a key ingredient in your life. Pleasure is a key ingredient in your life, and I'm going to explain why it's so important now. So how exactly does pleasurable eating help you lose weight? That's the meat and potatoes of this video. So number 1, the simple act of eating with enjoyment and pleasure actually boosts your metabolism. So when you are happy, you have a better metabolic rate, you burn more calories at rest. You'll also digest your food way better. There's a quote that says, "A happy person could digest a stone," and that's so true. So if you're feeling good about what you're eating, you're gonna digest better, you're gonna have less digestive issues like bloating and gas, and you're actually gonna burn the calories you're eating at a more efficient rate, which is awesome. That's the #1 benefit of pleasurable eating. Your metabolism is actually boosted. The second thing is when you allow yourself to feel pleasure as you eat, treats, whatever it is, just regular meals, you'll be much more satisfied with less food. So I used to say I loved food, but I would eat it mindlessly, and after I'd finish a meal, I'd feel sad and disappointed that it was over, but I'd be stuffed and I didn't even actually enjoy it or take pleasure out of the food. So I'm not interested in like calorie counting or portion control or deprivation, but what's so cool about taking pleasure with your food is that you'll actually be so much more satisfied with less. And I just had a really awesome comment from a client, and I wanted to read it to you because it's a perfect example of this. So she talked about how she used to, have a lot of guilt around chocolate, and she'd have to keep it in a special cupboard, and she'd sneak it, and she'd eat it standing up and never really get the joy from it, but chocolate was a big thing for her. So she just went on a vacation, and she says, I chose to have one section of this really nice chocolate bar. It was very small and only had 2 pieces. She sat on her bed, almost reclining actually, with eyes closed. Oh my, such pleasure. I let it slowly melt in my mouth, could taste and feel the crunch and the flavors. Notice the bitterness in the chocolate and the creaminess all at the same time. It was fantastic. Even bigger for me, the aha moment was when I finished. It was that I did not desire to eat that second piece. That was huge. The experience had satisfied me so much that one delicious, pleasurable piece was enough. Now, this gives me goosebumps. I'm kind of a weirdo. I'm obsessed with mindful eating and peaceful eating and helping you realize that you're allowed to have pleasure. But this made me so happy when I read it because I'm like, oh my goodness, this is my life's work. This is what makes me so excited. But it wasn't that she couldn't have the second piece. It was that she didn't want it. Whereas I know for me and probably for her, we've eaten entire chocolate bars and still wanted more because we didn't even let ourselves taste and savor it. So that's a big one. Allow yourself the pleasure and you'll end up needing less to feel satisfied. And isn't it a nice feeling when you're actually satisfied and you're not yearning for more? So the next one is that food pleasure and food guilt are incompatible. Now, if you're really taking pleasure out of something, that means you're present with it and you're allowing yourself to have it, which is incompatible with those guilty feelings. You know those feelings when you're eating ice cream, but you know every bite you shouldn't be eating it, you're telling yourself that you're bad, but you're going to do better tomorrow. You know, those guilt and shameful thoughts. Well, guilt and shame are very detrimental to your weight loss journey. First of all, guilt and shame make you feel bad. So that slows your metabolism. When you're stressed, your metabolism slows down. And bad, shameful feelings make you feel stressed, uneasy, and your metabolism slows down. So that's #1, biggie. Let's keep the metabolism revved with those happy, pleasurable thoughts. The second thing about guilt is that you almost always eat more when you feel bad about yourself. So it's like this total ridiculous cycle. So ditch the guilt, ditch the shame. And the last thing about guilt and shame is that when you're eating something and you're feeling guilty about it, you can't be enjoying it. You can't be getting full pleasure, which means, from the example I shared above, you'll probably want to eat a lot more to feel satisfied because you're not letting yourself enjoy it. And that's a big part of why human beings eat. 1 is for physical nourishment, but 2 is for joy, and that's a good thing. Why not take joy out of what we're doing anyway? But if you're feeling guilty, you're robbing yourself of the joy, which means you're probably going to want more food later. So last couple of things I love to share about guilt eating. One thing is that realizing that pleasure is a good thing helps ditch the idea of food being good or bad. So when you call something a bad food, it's actually proven you want it more. So when you say something is forbidden, I'm not going to eat chocolate. I'm not going to have wine for the next week. I'm going to cut out bread. You actually psychologically want it more. And then you inevitably binge on it as soon as life gets crazy. So instead of, labeling things good or bad, just say, I want this. I'm going to let myself have it. And, there are some aspects of like, I want to feel good and I respect my body, so I'm not going to totally overdo it. But one thing that's really cool is that compulsive eating and overeating and pleasurable eating cannot coexist. So if you're being present with your food, you can't binge and overdo it. But if you're being mindless and you're watching TV and you're just trying to stuff down your emotions and you're totally numbing out to your life, you're not getting pleasure, but you sure are stuffing yourself with food. So the two aren't compatible, which is neat. And if you take pleasure in the day, this is the last one, but if you take pleasure from your food during the day, you're less likely to overdo it at night. And a lot of my clients, me, included for many years, binging on sweets at night or crackers or whatever was a big thing because I didn't let myself take pleasure during the day. So I chaotically stole all the pleasure I could at night. And, eating cheesies, eating popcorn, eating sweets. And so what I've realized now is if I give myself the pleasure in a very controlled, loving, empowering way during the day, like let myself have some chocolate here and there, whatever, I don't need to steal the joy at night. One of my clients called it, she felt like she was stealing her joy with cheesies. But the truth was she wasn't actually really getting any joy. She just thought she was. So those are my tips on why pleasurable eating will actually help you lose weight. So I hope that inspires you. So every pleasurable eating experience will help boost your metabolism. And there's actually a pretty neat study done by a psychologist named Elia Crum, and she had two groups. They both drank the same milkshake, but one group was told that they were gonna have a 150 calorie milkshake, a low calorie one. The other group was told they were having a very rich and decadent 600 calorie shake. So they both drank their shakes. Now the people that were told they were having the decadent shake savored it more, and they were actually more satisfied and less hungry later. But it was the exact same shake. There were 300 calorie shakes. They were the same shake. But the people that believed that they were having savoring this treat actually ended up needing less to feel satisfied, staying full longer, savoring it more. And so I want you to think about that when you think about low fat. Low fat is literally low pleasure. And so it's been studied as well that the most pleasurable foods are 50% carb, 50% fat. So what falls into that? Cake, donuts, ice cream, chocolate, things like that. And so I'm not saying go and eat those in abandon, but if you're gonna have it, have the real deal. It's like, have the real cake. Don't have the yucky diet cake, or I don't even know what diet foods are out there anymore, but if you psychologically know you're having something that's a diet food, you don't respect it or enjoy it as much. You usually eat more of it because you feel like you should or you can, and it's not even that good to taste. So I'm a big fan of full fat, 10% Greek yogurt, I put butter on everything, but I don't do it in this crazy, reckless way. I do it in a way that respects my body, but I like eating and I like having yummy tastes on my tongue. So I'm not willing to eat low-fat stuff that doesn't taste good. And I just encourage you, low-fat foods are really usually filled with extra junk to make the flavor a bit better, and they're just not healthy like they've been marketed for you to believe they are. So sustainable weight loss does not come from restricting what you do or what you eat, but it actually comes from taking more pleasure from each bite. And there's lots of people who are really overweight, and you might look at them and think, ooh, their problem is they love food too much. They take too much pleasure. But actually, their problem is probably that they eat really mindlessly and without attention to their precious bodies. And so I just encourage you that if you love food, pay attention to it, take pleasure from it, and you will see your weight change. I promise you that. And so for today, my tip is that I want you to just enjoy your next meal. Take joy from it. Close your eyes, chew a bunch of times, let yourself smell and taste that amazing flavor. And know that we as humans are not meant to be restricted and deprived for long stretches of time. And there's a quote by my favorite emotional eating guru, Janine Roth, and she says, for every diet, there is an equal and opposite binge. So I want to repeat that. For every diet, there is an equal and opposite binge. And this is so true. And it's proven 95% or more of dieters gain back all the weight they lost plus more when the diet ends or within a year of the diet ending. So it's never going to work to restrict yourself. Pleasure is it. Follow your bliss. This is like my life's mantra. And if you can enjoy your life more and enjoy your food more, you're going to see so much results in your body. So don't be afraid of pleasure going too far. You know, some people say that, oh, but if I let myself have it, I might be uncontrollable. And you're not. You're not a food lunatic. You're not going to eat the world as long as you say to your precious self that you're going to respect your body and that you're going to savor each bite. But if you're like, yeah, I'm going to go like buy 2 hot fudge sundaes and a pizza and I'm going to turn the TV on and I'm going to talk on my phone and I'm going to write emails as I eat it all, yes, that's not going to be helpful. But if you're committing to be taking pleasure out of each bite, I promise you're not going to risk overdoing it. So, you know, I've had clients tell me they've never taken pleasure out of their food. And, you know, growing up, there was just so much shame and guilt surrounding food. So that, you know, pleasure and guilt, like pleasure was not a thing when it came to food. They don't go together for her. But we're working on that. And I've told her pleasure is your birthright. And if you can savor those meals, you're going to see such a change in your weight. And so I say the same to you. Try it out. Give it a chance. And so many aha moments. One of my clients just said to me, I want bliss and I am 54 years old. So if not now, when? So when are you going to get that life? When are you going to get that body you want? When are you going to take the pleasure that you deserve? I would recommend starting now. So again, I just want you to go out there today and eat something with full joy and pleasure and see how that goes for you, see how it feels. I would love to hear your comments. If you love this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and give it a like. If you have a friend that maybe needs this message, needs to know about pleasurable eating, make sure to share this video with them. And also, if you want to take this work deeper, I have an amazing follow-along program. It's 21 days, but you can take as long as you want to finish it. And it's all about creating a healthier relationship with food and losing weight at the same time and just enjoying your life more. So it's called Peaceful Eating for Weight Loss. The information is in the comment section, and I would love to guide you through this journey on how to just live a better life in a better body without all this diet junk. So check out the info in the comment section about the Peaceful Eating program and make sure to subscribe, and thank you for watching. Love to hear any comments you have. Have a great day. All the best with your peaceful eating and your pleasurable eating today. Bye.